Darth Vader did not fall to the dark side. He made a rational decision, a calculated one, and if you were in his position, you might have done the same. He was called a monster, but monsters don't begin as monsters. They begin as people trying to solve a problem no one else would help them solve. And that is where this story actually starts. Before the mask, before the mechanical breathing, before the name Darth Vader, there was a child born into slavery. Anakin Skywalker learned early that survival depends on obedience, that powerful institutions decide your fate. That fear is something you manage alone. When the Jedi discovered him, they didn't just see a gifted boy, they saw prophecy. The Chosen One. That title sounds powerful. It is not. It is pressure disguised as purpose. From that moment forward, Anakin was not treated as a child. He was treated as an expectation, prized for his potential, watched for his flaws, warned about his emotions, too powerful to ignore, too unstable to fully trust. And no one stopped to ask what constant scrutiny does to someone who is still growing. The Jedi Code was clear. No attachment, no fear of loss, no possession. On paper, that sounds enlightened, but Anakin had already lost freedom, already lost safety, already lost control over his life. Now he was told to lose attachment too. When he began having visions of his mother's suffering, he didn't need doctrine. He needed reassurance. Instead, he was told to let go. So he acted alone, and he arrived too late. He held his mother as she died, powerful, chosen, and completely powerless. That moment did not create Darth Vader, but it planted the fear that would. Years later, when he began seeing visions of Padme dying, his mind did not interpret them as imagination. It interpreted them as warning. The last time he ignored a vision, someone he loved died. Sure, he was not going to repeat that mistake. And here is the tension. If you believe love is strength, then his fear makes sense. But if you believe attachment leads to suffering, then the Jedi were right. You cannot have both. Palpatine understood this conflict. He did not manipulate Anakin with promises of domination. He offered certainty. Where the Jedi hesitated, Palpatine gave answers. Where the Council criticized, Palpatine validated. And when Anakin admitted his fear of losing Padme, Palpatine did not dismiss it. He reframed it. The dark side holds the power to prevent death. Notice what this does psychologically. This is no longer a moral dilemma. It becomes a survival strategy. Anakin's core problem was not ambition. It was helplessness. He had power over armies, but none over death. And now someone was offering him control. Ask yourself honestly, if you had already lost your mother because you lacked power, and someone offered you a way to prevent that pain from happening again, would you reject it, or would you at least consider it? When Mace Windu moved to strike Palpatine, Anakin saw two futures. One uncertain, bound by Jedi restraint. The other dangerous but promising control. He chose control, not because he wanted tyranny, but because he feared another funeral. That is not insanity. That is trauma making decisions. Then came the cost, the temple, the war. Mustafa, in trying to prevent loss, he created it. Padme died anyway. The promise failed. Everything he compromised himself for disappeared. The armor that sealed around him was not a symbol of dominance. It was a prison. Every breath mechanical, every step heavy. Darth Vader is not a triumphant villain. He is a man forced to live inside the consequences of panic. And here is where perspective shifts. For years, no one saw a person inside that suit. They saw fear, they saw authority, they saw death. But Luke saw something else. A father. For the first time since childhood, Anakin was not treated as prophecy, weapon, or enforcer. He was treated as human. And that changed everything. When the Emperor demanded obedience once more, the pattern became clear. Master, servant, control through fear. The same structure that shaped his childhood. The same structure that cornered him. Only this time, there was another option. Luke did not offer him power. He offered him belief. And in that moment, Anakin was not choosing between light and dark. He was choosing between fear and love. He chose love, not perfectly, not cleanly, not in a way that erased his crimes, but in a way that broke the cycle. We call that redemption. But redemption feels tidy. This was not tidy. This was a man who spent decades believing control was the only way to prevent pain. Finally accepting that control was the cause of it. Darth Vader did terrible things. That remains true. But his story is not proof that evil simply wins. It is proof that fear, when left unmanaged, can turn protection into oppression. And that even the most feared villain may have started as someone who was simply afraid to lose again. Every story has another side, and this was the Villain POV.
You merely adopted the dark. I was born in it, molded by it.